Hi everyone, my name is David Garfinkel. I'm head of DeFi at Truflation. Truflation is a single source of truth for financial data, financial metrics from the real world, everything that wraps up in inflation. Truflation tracks, and we do it on chain. So I'm going to get started with our presentation here, talk a bit about Truflation, how folks in the Nibiru ecosystem can use Truflation, give some background on why we started, where we're going, and sort of everything in between. To give a bit of context, the overall market we're looking at that tracks inflation has trillions of dollars of bonds behind it. And Truflation started in 2020 because we think this data behind these bonds is not correct. Two, it's being changed relatively often. And three, over the long term, it just can't be trusted for those like us building on-chain products. So we believe that creating from the source the best financial metrics possible is what's going to open up these type of markets. It's what's people in DeFi are building. It's what people in traditional finance and fintech are building as well. But starting at the basis of inflation, we found that creating our own methodology, creating our own data sources, going out there finding data partnerships is a much better way than how the Bureau of Labor Statistics does it, how other models are doing it. So for us, starting at that basis of a very large market like inflation-linked bonds was where we wanted to start. So to give you a bit of insight into what Truflation is, we're a real-time, transparent, immutable, censorship-resistant Oracle service. So what we're providing are data feeds for traditional finance, data feeds for the on-chain world. And what's most important to us is that this information is accurate and available to everyone. Most in the traditional finance world, most in the Web 2 world are used to a sort of walled garden approach where those with the most money at the biggest hedge funds get access to the best data. We don't think that should be the case. We think every traditional user, whether it's a US person looking to get their food prices so they can pay their bills next week, or a financial institution that needs up to the minute data pricing, we think they should all get the same good, correct data. So that's where Truflation was created. We built it with decentralization in mind, decentralization first, really, to allow not just the correct data, but again, censorship resistant data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics within the US is generally known for always changing their methodology, always changing up how they track inflation. To us, that's a complete non-starter. Everything we do is open in terms of our tracking. Everything we do is open in terms of our changes as well. So inflation shouldn't be up to the individual. It shouldn't be up to the institution. It should be a known quantity for everyone. So that's really why Truflation has been created. We think we're far more accurate than current CPI metrics. To give you a bit of insight, sort of going from left to right here of how we get our data and how it gets to a potential end user like those building on Nibiru. So we have about 60 plus data partners growing by the day. Really, it sort of varies from us scraping the web on Amazon and Walmart to our partnerships on the housing front with places like Zillow, car gurus on the transportation side. We have AAA partnerships to get everything from insurance to transportation to gas costs. So we take in all that data. We have about 18 million prices we're tracking now across the US and UK, hoping to go into new geographies as well. We track in that data for each of those specific items. We have 3 prices. So we want to make sure that these prices aren't just made up. We're really getting them from secure sources and a multitude of them. So it goes through our system. We now have all of these prices going through our Truflation Stream network, going through our node operators, making sure all of this data is correct. Once it goes through that process, it's then published on chain. It's published in real time, similar to how Chainlink Oracles worked in the past. Our data is up to the minute, meaning everything from our financial data to our commodities data to our housing data, everything like that is available for a developer within DeFi on chain, allowing them to get up to the minute pricing. So we're able to go sub-second with a lot of this data rather than pinging it once a day or updating it on a weekly, monthly basis like traditional world is used to. Developers that want to build on top of our data, that want to build perpetuals markets or want to build options markets or trying to build on top of decentralized exchanges, they're able to use our data within sub-second. They're able to run all the applications they want, and it isn't a barrier at all. So we've done that on a few chains now. We're launching to more, including Nibiru. And the type of products have really varied. And because our data is so broad, there really are a lot of different types of products we can build. To give another double click on sort of what's going on underneath the hood. So we have all these different data providers, as you can see here on the left. They go through our node process, which is checking the data, going through our own quality control, going through our data analyst team. And then that then goes to our future services. So that could be a Web3 customer who's using our on-chain Oracle service. That could be a Web2 customer who's just integrating towards our API, which is more traditional to them. Or it could just be a traditional retail user like myself who hops onto Truflation to see what my prices are for a specific commodity or specific types of goods. So we are able to use all the same real-time, very specific, perfect data, we think, and we're able to transfer that to all of our different user types. As we keep going here, I think one of the more known parts of what Truflation does is our dashboard. So oftentimes, if you go on a place like CNBC or you turn on Fox Business News, you'll see them talking, usually the Tuesday before CPI print comes out. They're talking about inflation. They're talking about what are the correct numbers. They're talking about specific assets. They're talking about food prices. And it's hard for them to get an exact number. Of course, it's hard for them to predict. Many times they're using our Truflation dashboard to come up with their predictions. So oftentimes you'll see a screenshot of this exact dashboard saying since 2020, inflation's gone up 25%, meaning purchasing power of a single US dollar has gone down 25%. So those are used very often in the traditional world, very often on Twitter. Do you see these dashboards posted? That's really our basis. It's why we build this. It's the reason I think many people are in crypto as well, because this needs to be public. These things need to be done not behind the curtain of a large government. So that's our dashboard. Many people may be used to that or seen something like that before. What we're building out these days, and what's been a really core focus for us, are building out these indices on top of our data. So all of our data, the 18 million price feeds I said, those are available on chain through our oracles. And through those oracles, you can now create really interesting products on top. So as the regular world knows, S&P Global and Van Eck, and you really go all the way down the line, BlackRock, iShares. These are common names in the financial world, and maybe common names when it comes to your brokerage account as well. But really, our goal was to look at the wider economy, whether it's real world assets or crypto, and be able to create frameworks to build indices on top of this data. So we have a few examples of people building on top of our data. The first easy use case were people building stable coins, or what we call flat coins, and they use our true CPI Oracle to create a peg. So what this means is Frax, for example, has a Frax FPI token. We're working with them to use our true CPI Oracle in order to be the peg that allows them to be that Frax price index. We have a similar protocol built on top of what's called Nuon that is a flat coin pegged to our true CPI Oracle. So these type of products that are pegging to our specific oracles in the stablecoin area were one of the first ways to get an easy integration, but also a meaningful integration. It's important to us that in this world that you're not just hopefully treading water when it comes to yield on stablecoins and things like that, or yield on dollars. You really need to be keeping up with inflation. So this was, when we got started a few years ago, this was one of the basis products we wanted to build. This has really expanded out into more data feeds using commodities, using our housing prices, using our transportation and utilities feeds. And one of our most recent products has been an EV commodity index. So when we look at crypto as a whole, DeFi as it relates to the traditional world, we found a really interesting place. And we found, talking to a lot of our fintech partners and a lot of different financial institutions that are looking to get into DeFi. And one of the pieces of feedback we've gotten is that alternative assets and crypto are sort of starting to merge. And the user type for those types of products are starting to merge as well. So we thought it was a great opportunity to launch an EV commodity index that's tracking the underlying metals within batteries and EV cars that we all see on the road every day. This was one of our first forays into an alternative asset product. We are looking to get this integrated all over the place, on chain as well as in the traditional world. And we came up with this as a way to, again, connect those two groups: the alternative asset investors that's been growing every year for the past 20 years, as well as those crypto investors that think of this whole market as one thing here. So I'm going to go a bit into the specifics of our EV commodity index, how we built it, and hopefully that allows people building on Nibiru to create something similar with us in mind. So we really looked at everything going into this new electric vehicle area, and we wanted to not just have access to traditional equities like you can go out and buy stocks in some of these EV car companies, but the bet we wanted to make was that as the number of EV cars on the road increases, there's going to be more demand for these underlying commodities. So we looked at all the commodities within the entire supply chain within these batteries and found a few that we think are the most important and that we're tracking. And these are all the way down the line of fully electric cars, hybrid cars, plug-in. We don't want to discriminate in terms of the types of technologies. We just want to show what the market is looking at currently. So here's just some data on some EV production data and how we're looking at all these different categories. Obviously, there's some type of cars that are using more of these commodities, and we were able to take in all this consideration as we went into our weighting system. So we came out with nickel, cobalt, copper, palladium, platinum as a few of the main metals that go into our EV commodity index. This to us was an important sort of area to go into, an important construction to make, because these are all very liquid markets in the traditional world. So we don't want to create new products that are illiquid, that don't make much sense, that people don't really know what to do with. For us, this was a way to create a product that people can understand and have underlying assets that people understand. So we're able to create this product on chain. We were able to create it as well as in our API, which allows the traditional world to get access to this type of stuff too. We can go farther down the line into the types of metals on all of these cars, and all of this basically is just going into how to build out this correct methodology. So for each of the products we're going to build, we have a full quality control and process to make sure our data is correct, make sure the sources we're getting from are good, make sure they're all compliant, make sure we have all of the back end to make sure these things can go online. After we do all this, we go through the calculation, a few steps here. This is the process we can do for a lot of our products. Sometimes they can be market weighted, sometimes they can be delineated by number of users or whatever it may be. So we're able to be pretty broad in terms of what we can build. And this is how we did the EV commodity index. And now it's a live product. So this can be spent in dollars. It can be spent in number of Bitcoin. So here you can see the two ways we price this here. EV commodity basket based in dollars, as well as commodity basket based on Bitcoin purchasing power. So this is now live on chain. I went through our whole process, allowing us to go from product ideation to choosing the type of data feeds to making sure there's oracles on chain, all the testing, everything like that. And now this type of product is being used in protocols all across DeFi, perpetual protocols that are pinging this, allowing users to get perpetual future exposure. We have some options protocols looking to integrate this product as well. We really think these assets are best on chain in a world where anyone can trade them 24/7. When you take the basis of traditional finance being open 5 days a week for a few hours, we don't think that's one correct or one going to be the case long term, especially considering if you're a large user, you have access to markets 24/7 anyway. So we want to be able to bring these markets to people 24/7, 7 days a week, 365, and allow them to trade something they may not be able to trade previously. So we have an electric vehicle commodity index that we recently launched. We're working on a Rolex index, for example. We recently launched a Big Mac index. All of these things in our best effort to try to track assets in our economy that aren't necessarily just equities or aren't necessarily just bonds, things like that, that are really going to move the needle and allow more access to people. So when it comes to our real-world asset Oracle, we already have 140 teams building on top of our Truflation data. Like I said, everyone from perpetuals protocols to lending markets to decentralized exchanges, new chains every day that are using us as a source of truth. We built this so developers can come on top of our protocol and build things without having to worry about the data quality. It's really important to us that DeFi developers have all the tools they can to not only build products that are going to be better for users, but ideally that last forever without centralized parties coming in and changing weights and making things different. So for us, building out all the data feeds was step one. Step two was making this marketplace that allows people to come in and build on top. And step three was automating the process to build out these tokens. So if you take a look, and you can go on to truflation.com/marketplace, and you can go through all our different indexes and data feeds. For example, this photo here is looking at some of our housing feeds. So median list price, rental vacancies, we have new homes on the market, for example. All these can be added into a protocol, added into a product. We have all of our commodities feeds and utilities pricing as well on here. And this really takes the basis from our Truflation CPI, which its methodology is set and takes into consideration all these different categories. So if you go into, again, truflation.com/marketplace, you can look at all these different Oracle feeds. You can look at all these different categories we're tracking. And for us, it's important that really every important metric in every one of these categories is included. So when you look in the commodity side, it could be wheat futures, it could be corn, it could be orange juice. All of these things are important metrics, whether we're building products on top of them or we're just tracking the prices. To us, they're incredibly important. I think when it comes down to it, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, sadly, tends to take things out that are too high in price, and in turn makes inflation seem lower than it is. We will never take out things that people are buying. So coffee's gone up a lot in the past few months. Bureau of Labor Statistics took that out of the CPI calculation. I don't think anyone stopped drinking coffee. I certainly didn't. So to us, that's important that we're tracking the prices there, because some people may think of some of these things as non-critical, but to us, they're always critical. And we track all of them here in all of our categories, and more and more people every day are making products on top of them. This is a broader look at our ecosystem. On the left, we have some of the DeFi protocols that are starting to use our technology. We have stablecoin providers using our technology, universities that we work on with data provision, all these data providers that we've been working with the past 2 years to make sure this data is as sound as possible. So all of these different ecosystem providers, we're hoping to grow this list. Hopefully one of these columns becomes the whole page relatively soon. Nibiru being one of the new blockchains we're launching on, we hope to have a lot of Nibiru projects that are within the DeFi space, or even come on as data sources, or build their own stablecoins using our data feeds. We hope that this board becomes bigger and bigger in the long run. So this is why Truflation was created. We want to be the basis for the products built in this new financial world. We've worked really hard to make sure all of these prices that we're putting in our Oracle feeds, all of the partners we have, are getting the best up-to-date data. And to us, that's incredibly important. As we build out these new products, being immutable, being non-censorable is incredibly important. And that's why we've built all this at Truflation. We have a lot more coming down the pipeline and hope to work with plenty of new projects in the Nibiru ecosystem. So thanks, everybody.